My oncologist gave me 6 months, maybe 8 if I do the chemo. That was 4 months ago. I'm 79 years old. I have stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and I need to tell you something that's going to piss off a lot of people. I'm not fighting this. I'm not being brave. I'm not spending my last days making peace with everyone or checking items off some sentimental bucket list. And I'm sure as hell not doing chemotherapy so I can spend my final weeks vomiting and bald just to buy myself an extra month of suffering. My name is Robert, and I wasted 79 years trying to be a good man. And now that I'm dying, I've finally figured out what I should have been doing all along. Absolutely nothing that I don't want to do. You think I'm being morbid. You think I've given up. You think I'm one of those bitter old men who's angry at the world. You're wrong. I'm not angry anymore. For the first time in my life, I'm free. And that freedom came from asking myself 3 questions that I should have asked 60 years ago. It was October 15th, 2025. I remember because it was a Tuesday, and I always did the grocery shopping on Tuesdays. That's the kind of man I was: routine, predictable, safe. I'd had this pain in my abdomen for 3 months, but I kept putting off the doctor because I was busy. Busy doing what? Busy keeping up appearances, busy maintaining a life I didn't even want. The doctor did a CT scan, then he did more tests. Then he asked my wife, Sharon, to come in with me for the results. That's when I knew. Doctors don't ask your wife to come in when they're going to tell you you've got hemorrhoids. Dr. Martinez sat us down in his office. He had that look, that practiced, compassionate look they teach them in medical school. Robert, the imaging shows a mass on your pancreas. It's spread to your liver. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer. I'm very sorry. Sharon started crying immediately. I just sat there. I didn't cry. I didn't gasp. I felt this weird sense of relief. Finally permission to stop pretending. What are the options? Sharon asked. Always practical, my Sharon. Dr. Martinez went through them: chemotherapy, radiation, clinical trials. He used words like aggressive treatment and fighting this thing and staying positive. And then, almost as an afterthought, he said, or we can focus on comfort care, quality of life over quantity. How long without treatment? I asked. 6 months, maybe less. With treatment, possibly a year, maybe more. But I need to be honest with you, Robert. Pancreatic cancer at this stage, the survival rate is very low. Treatment might buy you time, but it won't be pleasant time. Sharon wanted me to fight. Of course she did. She started talking about second opinions and research hospitals and experimental treatments. She pulled out her phone right there in the doctor's office and started Googling pancreatic cancer survivors. But I was still stuck on that word, comfort. When was the last time I'd been comfortable? When was the last time I'd done anything just because it felt good, not because it was responsible or necessary or expected? We drove home in silence. Sharon was crying quietly in the passenger seat. I was thinking about my life, all 79 years of it. And a question came to me, unbidden and unwelcome. What did I actually enjoy? Not what was I good at, not what did I accomplish, not what made me a productive member of society. What did I actually enjoy? What brought me joy? And I couldn't answer it. I was 79 years old, dying of cancer, and I had no idea what I enjoyed. That night, Sharon wanted to talk strategy. She'd printed out articles about treatment centers and survivor stories. She'd made a list of questions for Dr. Martinez. She was ready to fight. Sharon, I said, I'm not doing it. She looked at me like I'd slapped her. What do you mean you're not doing it? The chemo, the treatment, I'm not doing it. Robert, you have to fight this. You can't just give up. I'm not giving up, I said. I'm choosing. For the first time in my life, I'm choosing. Choosing to die? Her voice was shrill now, angry. Choosing to live, I said, really live, for whatever time I have left. She didn't understand. How could she? I didn't understand it myself yet, but I knew, deep in my bones, that I was not going to spend my last months poisoning my body to buy a few extra weeks of misery. Sharon moved into the guest room that night. She was furious. She called our daughters, told them I was being unreasonable. They called me, tried to change my mind. My oldest daughter, Jessica, flew in from Denver to stage an intervention. Dad, you're not thinking clearly. she said. This is the cancer talking. You're depressed. You need to fight. Fight what? I asked her. Fight death? Death wins, Jessica. It always wins. The only question is whether I'm going to spend my last days fighting a battle I can't win or doing something I actually want to do. Like what? She demanded. What's so important that you'd rather die than fight for more time with your family? And that's when I realized I still couldn't answer the question. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I'd spent 79 years not doing what I wanted, that I'd forgotten how to want anything. After Jessica left, I sat in my study, the room I'd built 30 years ago when we bought this house. Floor-to-ceiling bookshelves filled with books I'd bought but never read. A desk I sat at every evening, paying bills and managing investments and doing all the responsible things you're supposed to do. A leather chair that Sharon had picked out because it looked dignified. I hated that room. I'd always hated it, but I'd never said anything because Sharon was so proud of it. So proud of having a husband with a study, like we were characters in some upscale furniture catalog. That's when the second question hit me. What have I been doing that I never wanted to do? I made a list, a long list. I wrote for 2 hours, and when I was done, I had 3 pages of things I did regularly that I'd never wanted to do and never enjoyed. I went to the Rotary Club every Thursday, hated it, hated the small talk, hated the speeches, hated the terrible chicken dinners. But I'd gone for 35 years because business owners went to Rotary. That's what you did. I played golf every Saturday with the same 4 guys I didn't particularly like. I didn't even enjoy golf. I found it boring and frustrating. But successful men played golf. So I played golf. I went to Sharon's book club functions. I attended every one of our daughter's events, even now that they were adults with their own children. I showed up to birthday parties and recitals and school plays for grandchildren who barely knew me because I was always so stiff and formal with them. I ate dinner at 6 p.m. every night, whether I was hungry or not. I watched the news every evening, even though it made me anxious. I maintained the lawn every weekend, even though I hated yard work. I wore khakis and polo shirts because that's what men my age wore. I'd had the same haircut for 40 years, went to the same barber, Frank, who I didn't even like. Frank talked too much, told racist jokes, and always cut my hair too short. But I'd been going to Frank since 1985, and you don't change barbers after 40 years. That would be weird. I went to church every Sunday. I'd gone to church every Sunday since I was 8 years old. 71 years of church. I didn't believe in God. I hadn't believed in God since I was 23 years old and watched my mother die of breast cancer while the church ladies told me it was God's plan. But I went anyway, because that's what respectable people did. My entire life was things I did because I was supposed to, because people expected it, because it was proper or responsible or normal. My entire life was a performance of someone else's script. And now I had 6 months left. 6 months. And I'd be damned if I was going to spend them doing one more thing I didn't want to do. The next morning, I told Sharon I wasn't going to Rotary anymore. "What do you mean you're not going?" she said. "You've been a member for 35 years. You're the treasurer." "I'm dying, Sharon. They'll find another treasurer." "But what will people think?" "I don't care what people think," I said, and I meant it. For the first time in my life, I meant it. I called Frank and canceled my standing appointment. I never went back. I let my hair grow. It's too long now, gray and unkempt. Sharon hates it. I love it. I quit church. Just stopped going. The pastor called. I told him I didn't believe and I wasn't going to spend my Sundays pretending anymore. He was shocked. "But Robert, you've been an elder here for 20 years. Exactly, I thought. 20 years of pretending. I stopped watching the news. I stopped playing golf. I stopped going to events I didn't want to attend. My daughters were furious when I missed my granddaughter's dance recital. "Dad, she's been practicing for months." Maybe so, but I'd been performing for 79 years and I was done. Sharon thought I was having a breakdown. Maybe I was, but it felt like a breakthrough. I started doing things I'd never let myself do. Small things at first. I started sleeping in. I'd been waking up at 6 a.m. for 60 years. Military habit from my Navy days, but I wasn't in the Navy anymore. I was a dying man. So I started sleeping until I woke up naturally. Sometimes that was 9 a.m., sometimes 11. Sharon was horrified. Robert, it's almost noon. Are you sick? Yes, I thought. I'm dying. And I'm sleeping as long as I damn well please. I stopped eating foods I didn't like. Sharon had always cooked healthy meals, lean protein, steamed vegetables, whole grains. I choked them down for 47 years of marriage. I started ordering pizza, burgers, Chinese food, things with flavor, things that made me happy. Sharon said I was acting like a child. Maybe. But this child had 6 months to live and he was going to enjoy his food. I bought a motorcycle, a big, beautiful Harley Davidson. I'd wanted one since I was 19 years old. My father said motorcycles were dangerous and impractical. Then I got married, and Sharon said motorcycles were dangerous and impractical. Then I had kids, and everyone said motorcycles were dangerous and irresponsible. But I was dying anyway. What was the motorcycle going to do? Kill me. I was already dead. I walked into the dealership, pointed at the biggest bike they had, and said, "I'll take it." Paid cash. The salesman was thrilled. Sharon was apoplectic. "You're 79 years old. You can't ride a motorcycle." "Watch me," I said. I took lessons, fell twice, didn't care, got my license at 79 years old. Started riding, just me and the road and the wind. I'd never felt so alive. That's when the third question came to me. I was riding through the mountains, no destination, just riding, and it hit me. What would I do if I wasn't afraid? Fear. My whole life had been ruled by fear. Fear of what people would think, fear of disappointing people, fear of being irresponsible, fear of being judged, fear of being wrong, fear of being different. I'd made every major decision in my life based on fear. I joined the Navy because I was afraid of disappointing my father, who'd been a Marine. I married Sharon because I was afraid of being alone. I took the job at the accounting firm because I was afraid of financial instability. I stayed at that job for 40 years because I was afraid of starting over. I played the role of the good husband, the responsible father, the upstanding citizen, because I was afraid of what would happen if I didn't. But what was I afraid of now? What could anyone do to me? I was dying. The worst thing that could happen was already happening. So I stopped being afraid. I told Sharon I wanted a divorce. She was making breakfast when I said it, scrambled eggs and wheat toast, healthy, joyless. She turned around, spatula in hand, staring at me like I'd grown a second head. "What did you just say?" "I want a divorce," I repeated. "I don't want to be married anymore." She dropped the spatula. "Robert, you're dying. You're not in your right mind. You need to—" "I'm completely in my right mind," I said, maybe for the first time ever. "Sharon, I don't love you. I don't think I ever loved you, and I'm not going to spend my last months pretending." She slapped me hard. Then she started crying. "How can you say that? We've been married for 47 years. "I know," I said, "and I've been miserable for 46 of them." It was cruel. I know it was cruel, but it was also true. The truth is often cruel. I'd married Sharon in 1978. I was 32. She was 28. We met through mutual friends, dated for a year, got married because that's what you did. Everyone said we were perfect together. We weren't. We were just both good at following the script. Sharon wanted a traditional marriage, provider husband, homemaker wife. I don't know what I wanted. I'd never asked myself. So I became the provider. I went to work every day. I brought home a paycheck. I mowed the lawn on weekends. I fixed things around the house. I showed up at family events. I was a good husband on paper. But I never felt anything. Not love, not passion, not even real friendship. I felt obligation. I felt duty, but I never felt joy. We had sex maybe 20 times in 47 years. Sharon wasn't interested and I didn't push. We slept in the same bed and lived parallel lives that occasionally intersected. We were roommates who'd committed to a lifetime lease. And I'd accepted it. For 47 years I'd accepted it because that's what you did. You made a commitment and you honored it, even if it was killing you. But I didn't have 47 more years. I had months, and I wasn't spending them in a loveless marriage just because divorce at 79 seemed unseemly. Sharon moved out the next week. She went to stay with Jessica in Denver. The divorce papers came 3 weeks later. She's telling everyone I lost my mind, that the cancer spread to my brain, that I'm not myself. She's wrong. I'm finally myself. My daughters won't speak to me. Both of them sided with Sharon. They think I'm cruel, selfish, heartless. They sent me emails, long, angry emails about how I'm destroying the family, how I'm breaking their mother's heart, how I'm setting a terrible example. I wrote them each back one sentence. I'm sorry I wasn't who you needed me to be, but I can't be that person anymore. They didn't respond. My brother called. Bob, what the hell are you doing? You're 79 years old and you're acting like a teenager. Better late than never, I said. Sharon's devastated, he said. The girls are humiliated. Do you know what people are saying? No, I said, and I don't care. For the first time in my life, I don't care what people are saying. He hung up on me. Everyone thinks I've lost it. Maybe I have. But what I've lost is the weight of everyone else's expectations. And I've never felt lighter. I sold the house. Sharon wanted to keep it in the divorce, but it was in my name. I sold it and bought a small apartment downtown. Modern, minimal, nothing like the suburban colonial we'd lived in for 30 years.